Hi everybody, it's me, GhostCritic. It's question of the week time. Every Monday I pose you a comic book related question which you get to answer in the comment section down below, and then you guys get to pose me questions which I will answer in the video next Monday. So at the end of this video I'll answer the questions that got posed last week. Simple enough. This week's question, my goodness, there's been lots of scandal and controversy going through both DC and Marvel. A couple of weeks ago there was a big hoo-ha about a variant cover of Spider-Woman, the way it depicted Spider-Woman as a very sexual object. They got into a lot of trouble about that, and apparently now they've withdrawn it. DC, not wanting to be outdone in their scandal controversy stakes, have decided to make an issue of Harley Quinn smell of marijuana. I really don't know why. So I wondered, if Image was going to do something scandalous and controversial, what should they do? Simple as that. So, got some questions posed to me last week by some great YouTubers and subscribers to my channel. Let's kick off with Derek Alucarelli. Thank you very much for your question. Will you be watching Gotham? And if you watched the first episode, what did you think about it? Gotham is a new American TV show, if you didn't already know, because it's being hyped so much, which deals with Gotham before Batman, so when Bruce Wayne was just a child, where his parents have just been murdered. I did watch the first episode yesterday actually, and I have to say I wasn't altogether impressed with it as an opening pilot that is meant to kind of draw people in and make them want to watch more. It felt like it had been filmed in a very kind of old style, and I don't mean it was a period piece. It just felt like this was something that could have possibly come out in the early 90s to mid 90s. It didn't feel very polished. I thought they introduced far too many characters far too quickly in the very first episode. We've already got a young Penguin, a young Catwoman. We saw a glimpse of a young Riddler. We've already been introduced to Falcone. We've got Bullock in there. We've obviously got James Gordon because he's kind of the centre of it all. And they just kind of rushed through it all. I expected them to make a lot more of the scene where Bruce Wayne's parents died. That seemed to be very much for something that was, you know, it's the impetus of Bruce Wayne becoming Batman, really. But it just seemed like a throwaway moment. I know it's not about Bruce becoming Batman, but at the same time, the other characters are kind of satellites to that in essence. And I just felt that scene where they died and a couple of scenes afterwards with Bruce, a young Bruce, were kind of throwaway scenes. I was particularly disappointed, to be honest. I'll watch them. It was the pilot episode. It was the first one. They are going to learn and hopefully get better. So I'll continue watching it. Let's see how it goes. Jess S asked, do you read novels? What are your favourite standalone and series of books of all time? I had to start digging them out, didn't I? I have to say, these days I don't read a lot of novels. I don't find that I have the time anymore, and it's those darn comic books. They take all of my time, and I can't remember the last time I actually read a novel. But I do have kind of 3 favourite authors, and they all do kind of, they're kind of standalone books, but at the same time they have they'll fit in a certain genre. They might be about different people and different scenarios, but they all have the same kind of feel. So I've got examples. One of my favourite authors is Scarlett Thomas. Now, the first book I read of hers was The End of Mr. Y, which is an amazing novel. Really enjoyed this. She has this way of, we've got Going Out, we've got Popco, and Our Tragic Universe. And she has this way of making most of her books, the most ordinary kind of story suddenly become this very intense, this very complicated, but in a good way, storyline, and you just completely get engrossed in this world. I mean, Our Tragic Universe is about a failing relationship. Popco, on the surface, is about advertising and the lengths that companies go to get us to buy things. Going Out is about a young boy who thinks he's allergic to the sun. And The End of Mr. Y, this is probably the strangest one. It's very much a kind of, I want to say kind of Aldous Huxley, kind of Brave New World, opening the doors of perception. There's a lot of they're not drugs, but it is a drug that this woman in here takes. They're just so inventive books. And going on with the inventive feel, another of my favourite authors is David Mitchell. People will probably know Cloud Atlas because of the Tom Hanks film. I read Cloud Atlas much before the film came out, and I know people say this all the time, but you need to read Cloud Atlas to fully appreciate what David Mitchell was trying to do with this book, because the film, as great as it is, and the cinematography in it is fantastic, the actual way this story is told is so much more inventive, so much more appealing to me as a reader. I'm not going to tell you how he does it in here, but I would thoroughly suggest and recommend Cloud Atlas. He's also written Black Swan Green, that I've read, and The Thousand Autumns of Jacob de Zoet, which is another great novel of his. I'm going to keep going with this. James Frey, A Million Little Pieces, and I might as well put this on as well, My Friend Leonard. These two books, when I read them, both the endings of these made me cry like a baby. I know there was a little bit of controversy with James Frey because this is supposedly a true-to-life depiction of him in rehab, but it was since kind of revealed that a lot of this is, let's just say it was exaggerated somewhat, but it still doesn't make it any less of a visceral read. It is just, some bits are very difficult to get through, not least his depiction of going to the dentist, and this is only in like the first chapter, where they have to do, I can't remember what they do, but basically they do this dental procedure and he's given no anaesthetic at all, he's not put under, and it is just excruciating to read. But those two, heartbreaking at the end. He also wrote Bright Shiny Morning, which isn't one of my favourites of his. It's still a fun, interesting read, but nowhere near as good as those two. For standalones, and keeping it kind of sort of comic book related, Neil Gaiman's American Gods is just a fantastic kind of mythological, it's almost fable-esque, kind of story in this. There have been rumours about a TV show which, if done right on this, would be amazing. Film version of it, I would say definitely not, but it's kind of got a Stephen King feel to it, but coupled with a Fables kind of fitting genre. I couldn't recommend that one enough. The kind of only non-fiction, this is the last one, I promise. The last book I have, and I think I've talked about this briefly before, it's a non-fiction book, and it is by an author called Dave Cullen, and it's called Columbine. It's a study basically of the kind of lead up, the events that happened in Columbine, and then what happened afterwards. And it is, you don't want to say it's a good read, it's a great read, because it isn't that kind of book, but it's certainly eye-opening. It took him 10 years to write this, and he spoke to a lot of different people who were there, and the school teachers, the headmasters, the children of the school, and it's a heavy read. It is traumatic read. It's another of those, you're holding back the tears, they're a lump in your throat. If you have any interest in Columbine at all, I know that sounds strange, but it was a tragic event. It was a huge event in American history, in present day, I should say, American history. But if you have any kind of interest in this is the book you should read. So there you go. On to lighter things. Mr. Gretzky 9966. I think this is a hypothetical question. I can't imagine this creator ever doing this, and if this was true, I'd be hearing Matt, Wednesday Serial, crying himself to sleep every night. His question to me was, IDW just lost Eastman to Marvel, but kept the TMT comics going, and they made you editor. What some stuff would you do to boost sales since he left? Oh God. Give away free turtles, vials of ooze, free gifts. No, seriously, you really just have to find, or I would have to find someone who had a love for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, who had some sort of past with them. So often I see creator changes, and I just wonder, why did you even want to do this project? Mark Andreyko Batwoman. Let's not talk about him. But yeah, as long as you've got someone that clearly had the same passion that Eastman has for the characters, and along with a great artist, there should be no problem that a book like that could not keep going without its original creator. Talking about Matt, Wednesday Serial, completely weird question, as you would expect from him. Have you ever been tempted to buy a car because of a comic book ad? Firstly, do they sell cars in comic books ever? I know they used to advertise toy cars, but not an actual car, so my answer, as you would expect, and probably would be anyway, no, I haven't. Finally, Parker Rizzo asked, and I think I get what he's asking here, but he was talking about something he'd read regarding key issues, and that collectors are now only buying those rather than just general collecting of comics. and because of this, obviously the price of key issues goes sky high, while the rest of it, the Bronze Age and Silver Age books that are not particularly key, those prices are coming down. And he asked me, well, basically, do you agree that people should just be buying key issues, and would this hurt the hobby? Frankly, you can do what you want. You can buy what you want. It's not up to me the way you collect your comic books or anybody. However, to just buy key comic books, and this is clearly for investment purposes, does harm the comic book market in general. And it just seems so ludicrous to spend X amount of money on just because a certain character turns up for the first time. I mean, really? I can't believe these comics will ever amount to anything as an investment. For a little bit, you know, as soon as Guardians of the Galaxy film came out, or even before that, everyone was buying up Guardians of the Galaxy thinking, oh, the prices will skyrocket, first appearance of this character, first appearance of that character, and you will get that lift for a little while in price, but you know, 5-10 years down the line, it won't be worth that much anymore. It'll be the next film out. Once they make the next Doctor Strange comics, they'll go back up. First appearance of him, that'll go up. And again, it will skyrocket for a little bit, and then 5-10 years time, that price, it won't even be worth half of what you paid for it. So yes, I think it does harm in some respects. But as I said, people will collect how they want to collect. It's unfortunate that people just don't appreciate the comic for what it actually is. And they are my questions for this week. Thank you for those. If you've got a burning comic book related question, or I don't know, about a TV series or a film, something pop culture-ish you want to ask me, then pop it in the comments section down below and I'll answer it next week. Thank you all for sticking with me and watching. If you are new to the channel and you don't want to miss out on any more of those videos, hit the subscribe button. Appreciate everyone who subscribes to my channel. Thank you all for sticking with me, and give this video a big thumbs up, and as usual, I'll see you next week with more questions. Bye bye.